Our speaker is Lucy Glasspool from Nagoya University of Foreign Studies, Japan. Today, she presents her talk on the topic, Parasocial Sex and Romance, the promotion strategies of Japanese audio erotica streamers and their listener gratifications.
Hi everybody, my name's Lucy Glasspool and I'm an Associate Professor at Nagoya University of Foreign Studies in Japan. Today I'll be talking about parasocial sex and romance, the promotion strategies of Japanese audio erotica streamers, and the gratifications of their listeners. First, I'll situate my topic in the wider context of parasocial relationships in Japanese society today. Next, I'll show how connections between technology, audio, and the erotic in Japan have led to the increasingly popular genre of romantic and erotic online streams known as situation voice. I'll then introduce some strategies these streamers use to encourage parasocial relationships leading to engagement. Finally, I'll explore the pleasures their listeners articulate. The concept of the parasocial relationship, or PSR as I'll be calling it, is today often used in studies on digital media to refer to long-term and usually positive one-sided intimacy at a distance that users develop towards media performers. There's increasing work on parasocial relationships with media persona in East Asia. From the emotional and social functions of PSR with male characters in Chinese women's romantic video games, to the impact on user well-being through PSR in K-pop fan communities in Korea. Studies on the parasocial and Japanese media have been conducted on fans of Japanese pop idols and anime. These aren't new media forms, and their history of sparking PSR among fans is well documented. Recently, however, research on the parasocial and online media has increased, particularly since the COVID-19 pandemic made in-person relationships difficult to form and maintain. Petrichin further states that use of sexually explicit media has become habitual and habituated during the pandemic, which is why I've chosen to focus on audio erotica today. Kim, Wang, and Kim have examined PSR in connection with the relationship between loneliness and isolation and the online interaction that fans seek with the object of their fandom and with other fans. They found that while PSR don't necessarily grow more intense in times of loneliness, the drive to seek out online interaction does. Both PSR and online interaction with like-minded peers were found to enhance a sense of well-being. With attention from the international press on the so-called loneliness epidemic in Japan, typified in articles about relationship problems, robot pets, and hikikomori, or individuals who withdraw from society, it's no wonder that scholarly interest in how people seek to alleviate feelings of loneliness is high. Erotic audio experiences mediated by technology, what we might call oral sex, have been part of Japanese sex work and media for decades. From terekura clubs of the 80s, in which you could arrange an anonymous encounter via special phone booths, and dial-a-porn telephone message services of the 90s, to erotic dramatized CDs of romance anime and comics that are still popular today. Then, in around 2010, audio-only talk streams emerged as a genre of online erotica. This international phenomenon is known in English as audio porn, but in Japan it has come to take a very specific form. Originally made entirely by anonymous amateurs and shared on dedicated websites like this one, Koi Koi, which means voice voice, this genre of streaming audio files was given various names, including ero onse, or erotic voice. It differs from the more traditional sexy audiobook or audio play CDs that are based on anime and comics. The erotic voice performer talks directly to the audience, placing the listener as an imaginary partner in the encounter that unfolds through the audio stream. And originally on this type of dedicated site, these weren't live streams, but previously recorded streams, so the encounter is asynchronous. Over the next decade, this genre grew in popularity for listeners of all genders, and streams are often labeled today aimed at men or aimed at women. It has come to encompass not only explicitly sexual material, but also softcore and romantic scenarios, especially in streams aimed at women. For example, whispering and ear-licking ASMR is very popular, or settings like boyfriend nurses you through your period. Perhaps for this reason, it's now more generally labeled situation voice rather than erotic voice, and is well known enough to be featured in other forms of Japanese media, such as romance comics like these. Situation voice has now migrated from dedicated sites onto general streaming platforms like YouTube. That's a YouTube search results for women's erotic voice on the left, and Twitcast, which is another streaming platform that facilitates live streaming. That's a page from them there on the right. The COVID-19 period saw a major upswing in the number of streamers and listeners on these platforms. This might be in part due to the increased isolation of living through a pandemic, as Kim, Wang, and Kim have mentioned. It could also be influenced by the growing popularity of non-sexual ASMR content on YouTube. For example, ironing, folding clothes, and so on. And ASMR has become a large subgenre of situation voice today. Another factor in the move to mainstream platforms is undoubtedly the potential for performers to switch from an amateur to professional basis. These platforms enable branding, communication, and monetization in a way sites like Koe Koe don't. In the next section, I'll introduce how streamers exploit these capabilities and how this may encourage parasocial relationships, and what exactly users are getting out of it. So before we talk about engagement strategies, I thought I'd just play you a quick clip of an audio stream so that you can see what it looks like and what it sounds like. This is a long form stream, which can be hours long. This one's about 2 hours long, and it features ear licking and breathing to help you relax and sleep. And you can see the different sections these long form streams take, with a greeting as the performer and chatting as the performer. Then from the sound check, switching into the character and going into the main situation, which, as I mentioned, was ear licking. So let's listen to a few seconds and then we'll move on.
ピカにゃん、ビクビクの上黒猫を歩いてるのなんか面白い。置いとこっか、この子。ナスエミ、ミサ、ミー、ピノ、こんばんは。お客様は、今回でもう5回目になりますかね。
I'm focusing mainly on streams labeled for women, or josemuke today, due to time constraints and the fact that josemuke streamers are more likely to make both sexual and romantic content. My case study is the popular streamer Kataribe, who makes explicit and non-explicit content on several platforms, and this is his list of all the platforms he's using. And he has up to 2.5 million listens per stream. And he broadcasts on Twitcast with his explicit material and YouTube with his less explicit material. One of the features of early situation voice was that you couldn't actually see the performer. You were left to freely imagine their appearance as you pleased. Now, more streamers are adding visuals to their content in avatars, headers, still video images, etc. These are not the streamer themselves, but almost always an anime-style illustration of an ikemen, what is known as an attractive man, as found in mainstream media content aimed at Japanese girls and women. Liu states that physical attractiveness as well as personality is a factor for PSR development in fans of virtual idols, so adding a conventionally good-looking face to the voice may be a deliberate strategy. These visuals also attach situation voice to anime and comic culture and can draw in that large established fan base. In fact, many voice streamers have a channel dedicated to singing covers of anime songs, which is separate to their main talk situation voice channel. This is Kataribe's singing anime song channel, and these are two other josemuke situation voice talk streamers who also have anime songs as part of their output. Another engagement strategy enabled by streaming platforms is communication. Users who experience PSR feel a sense of intimacy, which can be heightened by communication. In addition to leaving asynchronous comments for the performer and replying to other listeners on YouTube or social media, for example, Kataribe links his X account, users can make live comments in the chat line on Twitcast or YouTube live streams. So they're commenting as the performer is recording. And sometimes he'll reply to these comments. This and the fact that situation voice addresses the listener directly as the romantic partner enhances the sensation that the relationship is reciprocal and can heighten PSR. The final strategy I'll mention here is monetization. Some streamers sell downloads of their content. This is one of Kataribe's explicit streams. You can download it for about $5 if you're over 18. On YouTube and Twitcast, listeners can pay for extra content through subscriptions. You get more content the more you pay every month, and give gifts or, for example, little tokens that cost you money and the streamer gets money from, or you can pay money for the stream to listen to a longer stream. You can also give comments, super chat comments on YouTube, which you pay to write, that will highlight the user's screen name and bring it to the attention of the performer. Kim Wang and Kim found in their study of free versus paid versions of a K-pop fan platform that while paid subscribers didn't experience deeper PSR, they were more likely to feel a level of commitment due to their financial involvement. So, why do listeners tune into these streams? Though it's clear that the sense of mutual intimacy and fondness comes about through a willing suspension of disbelief, rather than a delusion that the relationship is real, listener comments do articulate a myriad of positive effects. One key sensation is intimacy, which can be divided into emotional intimacy and physical. Clausen states that intimacy is enhanced with successful ASMR, which many streamers employ today. Many listeners feel emotionally close to the imagined ideal partner presented by the streamer, who not only has an attractive voice, but also uses it to speak words of affection and praise to the listener, encouraging them to want to connect. So, for example, here, your words of expression, where every word shows your feelings, made it feel like we were really talking, or I want to be wrapped in your kindness always. Listeners also report feeling that the performer is actually physically close. This can spark affective responses of arousal. For example, I'm as turned on as if I was next to you. It feels like you're really with me and I'm being tormented. Or in one memorable comment, one memorable stream, we've got comments like, it feels like you're licking my brain, not my ears. But as well as sexual arousal, there's also the opposite. For example, being able to sleep at last after having your boyfriend in bed beside you whispering in your ear. And this brings us to stress relief. Whether it is physical relaxation after having orgasmed, or the feeling that someone is listening to you and comforting you after a hard day, users report sensations of well-being and gratitude. For example, like, I'll sleep well, or when I feel so stressed it's like I'm being suffocated, I listen and I feel great relief. When I'm on my period, hearing your voice is all I look forward to. Any of these pleasures might serve as stimulation for the user's sexual or emotional gratification, general entertainment, or form part of a self-care routine to aid relaxation. Situation voice, even more directly than idol media or anime, promotes a fantasy, although it is a knowing fantasy, of an ideal partner to the user. Although the comments don't actually report listeners seeing the streamer as a replacement for an in-person, non-parasocial relationship, there can be no doubt that this genre has the potential to enhance their daily lives. Thank you very much for listening. Here's my reference list.